John Dowie, Department for Transport, thank you very much for joining us to talk about roads. Roads are clearly going to be a very, very big thing certainly in the near term. You talk about a tripling of investment. I mean, how excited should the industry be about this?
Yes, this is a really transformational moment. And I think the key thing is it is not just talk of money, it's talk of money and a commitment to change the delivery of the investment so it can be delivered more effectively. There's more visibility for the sector about forward plans. That allows the sector itself to plan, to make sure it's got the capacity to deliver. So I think it's a really important win-win opportunity.
So you've got this tripling of investment, but you've also got, as you say, big reforms at the Highways Agency. The changes at the Highways Agency, it's been embraced by the industry, but they've also been criticised.
Yes.
What are the threats that we should be looking out for in the whole process of change?
Yes, I think there has been some questions raised about whether corporatisation of the Highways Agency, turning the Highways Agency into a company, is actually necessary to make the reforms work. Certainly from our view, it's absolutely integral to the reforms because it's about creating much greater transparency, much greater predictability about the future investment programme. So it's no longer decision making in a cupboard in Great Marsham Street. It's actually long-term planning. And certainly what we've picked up from the sector very, very strongly is they see the reforms, the systems used on rail, the HLOS, the rail investment strategy on the rail side, as really positive. And that's what we want to replicate.
But of course, getting to that situation in rail has taken several periodic cycles. Does the Highways Agency have the skills right now to make it work? I mean, are we going to be seeing a hiatus of activity while they get those skills in place?
We'll certainly not be seeing a hiatus. In fact, exactly the opposite. The Highways Agency is on a very strong upward trajectory in terms of delivery. I commented earlier that they, compared to an average spend of between 1 to 2 million a day over much of 13-14, by the end of the year, by March 14, they were up to £4 million a day. That shows the extent to which they're rising to the challenge. But they do recognise, Graham Dalton recognises, that the Highways Agency has got to evolve. It's got to become a kind of smarter, leaner organisation, more responsive if it's going to address the big delivery challenge ahead. So so they're putting in place a programme to equip the Highways Agency with the right skill sets and capacity.
And presumably that also means making sure that the Highways Agency is actually not just acting as a silo, but is embracing the other sectors of transport, embracing the airport decisions, embracing the ports, etc. I mean, how do you get an organisation to think outside its own little silo?
Yes. And of course, Highways Agency, like all organisations, has got examples of good practice and examples where they need to develop. So partly it's building on where they're good already. Some of this we will do through the planned road investment strategy, which we're proposing to release in the autumn. That will, at a national level, I'm sure it will highlight the importance of the strategic roads network, working with airports, ports, with forthcoming high-speed rail as a kind of integrated system. But some of it is down to local, regional collaboration between the teams and the Highways Agency and the teams in local authorities, LEPs, other stakeholders, and there is more to do on that.
And also, I suppose the other big challenge is moving towards more of a whole life costing for the roads, moving towards proper asset management, making sure that you're getting the right balance between capital investment and operational investment. Do we have the skills for that?
I think that's an area where the Highways Agency has come quite a long way in the last several years. They've got programs of work underway to strengthen their asset management, to make that more systematic. That's something where the additional money will help just release some of those improvements in terms of how they manage and process the data. So I think really positive things are happening there. The Highways Agency does need to supplement its current skills, evolve its skill base. So that is definitely on Graham Dalton's agenda. It's a big issue for him.
Okay, and I suppose finally, big challenges, I presume, for the supply chain as well, because whether it's the Highways Agency or whether it's the local road network,
yes.
There is a need to do things differently.
Yes, there is.
And to use different techniques, different products.
Yes, and I often say that one of the things that could jeopardise this really optimistic, really positive agenda is if the supply sector just kind of revert to questioning whether it will happen, doubting its certainty, and then do nothing. Because if this disappears in a bout of cost inflation and failure to deliver, I think that will set us all back, and it would be such a wasted opportunity for the sector.
So your message is assume it's all going to happen, assume it's going to be a lot of opportunity, and I suppose assume that you're going to have to do things differently. And
start both planning how you're going to do things differently, start investing in your resource base so you can deliver the higher levels of work. And I'm not assuming people have endless trust. You can watch the department, I'm sure you will, during the course of the year, and you will see us progressively putting the agenda into place.
John Dowie, thanks very much for joining us. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.